Hi, it's Greg Burdine, pastor of Faith Baptist Church in Adrian, Michigan, with a Bible verse for your Tuesday. And it's a beautiful day. I hope that you're having a wonderful day. And regardless, God is always good to us. And I just want to share with you a Bible verse today to consider. And you can leave some comments. If it's a verse that means something to you or reminds you of something, that's okay. If you do have a prayer request or anything that's going on, you can share in the comments. And if you see somebody else that's commenting, you can say hi. It's kind of nice to recognize each other. And even if you just watch it and don't do anything, that's okay as well. It's just a Bible verse that I'm thinking about and that I found that this in April have to do with nature, God's creation. And so just to share just a little bit here this morning, just for a couple of minutes. Or I'm sharing it in the morning, but you might be watching it later on in the day. That's what's kind of nice about Facebook and YouTube and the videos. You can kind of watch it anytime you want to. Some of you watch it right around the 10:30 mark, but some of you watch it later on in the day, and that's okay. Well, the Bible verse that I chose today, and there's a lot of Bible verses that have to do with creation and nature and everything, but the Bible verse that I chose today is in Psalms, and there's a lot of verses about our world in Psalms, but this is what it says in verse 5 of Psalm 145, and it's a little bit different take than some of the verses I've been sharing if you followed with me. This is what David said. David wrote this one. I will speak of the glorious honor of thy majesty and of thy wondrous works. It doesn't specifically talk about nature. It just talks about God's majesty and God's works. We think of majesty. We think of a king and his royalty and the fancy robe and the throne and the ornate, decorations in the building, his majesty. And we think about God's works, what he has done. That's where the whole idea of nature comes. But this is the point that I began to think as I meditated on this passage. He says, I'll speak about those things. It's good to meditate in our own hearts and think about those, and that's kind of what these devotions have been about, is just to consider and look around and thank God for his works and recognize that God made a beautiful world and all the different things, the trees and the hills and the mountains and the streams and all the things that we've been talking about. But the one thing that we really haven't emphasized is the fact that I not only need to have them, in my own heart, and to thank him for it and to have that inner knowledge and acknowledgement, but to speak about it, to be open, to share. And you don't have to be a pushy religious person, but you can just sometimes say, man, isn't this a beautiful day God's given us? That's just a subtle hint that this was given to us by God. And if it rains, to say, man, the rain's coming down just like God's blessings come down on me. Sometimes there's so much, I don't know what to do with myself. Just to speak about it. And again, you don't have to be, pushy or run over people, but just share that. You never know when just a hint of God, when just a recognition, it's good for your own heart to be able to not only feel it in yourself, but also to give testimony, to share it with somebody else. It could be online, which is what I'm doing right now. If you think about it, I've meditated on this verse and now I'm sharing it with you, and maybe you could, share the verse with somebody else, or you could just say a little thing about how the weather is or where you're going, or take a picture and say, sometimes I've seen people take a picture of a sunset and say, isn't God a beautiful artist? And just those subtle things online, or even if you're in the store or with somebody else and you see something, as the springtime comes along, and you just say, even to a stranger, beautiful day God's given us, isn't it? And just go with that. Speak about God, his majesty and his works. The greatest work that he's ever done is to die on the cross to save us of our sins. And that's something that we can share, the gospel. Well, God bless you. Have a great